to go. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Roger.
Crazy that we're in January and it's the end of January already. I feel like it just started last week, but yeah, welcome. We're looking to just to let everyone know we're looking to kind of revamp these calls in the next hopefully for the end of February, make them a little more structured, a little more, just a little bit more like time and stuff put into them and stuff like that. And doing, possibly a couple more with different other entities in the space. So if you have any feedback or anything like that, just on how these calls have been going, definitely shoot me a message on Telegram. And then, yeah, I think we've got the agenda meeting. I'll put it in the chat again. And if you have anything you want to talk about, put it in the list. If not, I'll pass it over to Nathaniel to talk about some stuff.
Hello, everybody. Oh, apparently Douglas says he's going to do this. What we just wanted to talk about was working together with other BPs to try and make the schedule work faster, and so that people weren't dropping blocks, and also updating the minimum BP requirements so that we can lower the overall average of our ping times. I'll wait for Douglas to say more.
Hey guys, thanks very much, Nathaniel, for introducing that. I put it on the agenda because there wasn't anything else on the agenda, and I thought we should have one per Roger's suggestion. Always a good one. And this is something that the other day it was brought to mind because the other day Graymass was able to work with us to resolve something where there were consistent drop blocks, and it just reminded me that we really have the opportunity to work together more to solve these things. And it's I think there's a fair amount of optimization we could do. So part one of that is really just saying, do we need just encouragement for people to go out there and do that, or do we need some kind of optimization structure? I think maybe for this it could just be encouragement. And then the second part of this is that we've been asking for people to get under the 300 millisecond microsecond CPU limit on the benchmark tests, and there's just a couple who haven't done that, and I think that we should renew that push. And for those who haven't, we should be asking why not, what's the impediment, and how can we help that occur. So those are the two things that I thought we should talk about on this topic. And then the third thing, of course, is anything else that other BPs think fits under it. So that's what I wanted to bring up. So let's see, not a lot of talking. So let me ask.
Sounds like a good.
Yeah. Sorry, do you guys? Okay, go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
I was just going to say it sounds like a good idea.
Okay. How about others? Especially we'll start with the first part. Do we need some kind of committee or some kind of person to roust others, or is it something that we can, for this month, try to be active about? I think it's something we can actually do and solve, and move on from, and really solve a lot of things. Hey, Kylan, I see your hands up. Go for it.
Yeah, so I guess my big thing was, I'm asking this because I've upgraded my BP node, and it's significantly better than it was before. Its average fluctuates right around that 300 microseconds, right at that level. So I guess maybe this is a better question for someone really technical, like maybe Nathaniel or Michael, if either of them's there, is here. But like, okay, so we want to average somewhere around 300 microseconds or less. How big of a difference? How much impact does the like standard deviation have for that? Like if it's always fluctuating, within 30, of 300,
You're good.
like, is that
You're
decent
fine.
enough? Is that good
Yeah,
enough, or
That's fine. It's just any outliers above 300.
any outliers above 300? Could you elaborate real quick?
If you give me a second here, I can pull up the Grafana monitor and we can check.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right
Just
now.
pull them all out right here. No, I'm not being like that. No, but if you could give me a second here, I can link you to the Grafana monitor.
I think it's
I
not
just-
necessarily as much of an absolute issue, right? It's we would like to get, 250 is better than 300. We just are trying to pick a limit. 300 is a round number. And I think one of the things, like Nathaniel's saying, what he pulls us up, the more we can get under 300, the better the network performs overall.
Right.
One of the ways
Okay.
this pops up is once in a while you'll have transactions that are denied by a BP that's running slower. That if you resubmit them, they'll get accepted by another BP that's running faster due to the CPU usage. Doesn't happen a lot, but I've personally experienced it a few times, and that's what I believe the reason was. And so that's just like is confusing to users, and we should have things going through all the time. All right, hand it back to you, Nathaniel.
I mean, actually, looking at this, it's pretty much only Eosphere and Telos Crew and Telos Korea and maybe Gray Mass. Like we have a few that are above 300, but they're just sitting right at it. So great averages.
Node
think they're-
Node one was I believe consistently over 300. I don't know if they've rotated in recently. That's what I see on the BP report.
So how about this? I know I've kind of harped on this at times, but because I know, we're all BPs and we're somewhat competitive, but we all have this general objective to reach this sort of benchmark. Are there people here who, I'm not going to say volunteer, if somebody wants to improve their statistics, their performance a little bit better, are there specific people who they could talk to? Because I feel like I've been able to tweak it and get it lower and lower and lower, but mine's still just slightly above where we want to have it.
I think guys like Matt Darwin from EOS Nation are expert level ninjas at this stuff. That's who I'd ask if, Nathaniel knows a lot and he writes about these things. But I think there's some really good, Jesse and JT know a lot about this stuff. Although they're often doing other things.
Busy.
So I think the resources are here.
Is there some reason we wouldn't be able to just raise this in the BP group? Like, because from what I've seen, like when we ask these sorts of questions in the Telegram group, like there's generally like people jump in and answer them. Like there's that EOS mechanics page that has all of the processor optimizations and things like that in it, and also Jesse updated that page as well to be a little bit more Telos specific, and he posted the link in there too. I've found that most of those optimizations will give a pretty good boost to like a bare metal hardware server. So yeah, like I don't see why we couldn't. Like, I mean, if you want to DM people, like just to, try and keep it competitive or something like that, I mean, yeah, no reason not to. But like the BP group's like pretty helpful overall, I think.
Yeah, tell either the Telos Tech channel or the Telos mainnet channel. Either way, you can ask, and we're gonna respond and give you good answers. So
Yeah, I think what I was going for was just maybe we could just make this an area of some focus. It doesn't have to happen here in this meeting, but if we could over this next month, it'd be really interesting to see what we could get done in terms of dropping down the missed blocks and getting within the our preferred performance band. This didn't have to ever be a huge thing. I just, I wanted us to sort of talk about it when we were all together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I guess my other question is, while we're on this topic, are we also trying I mean, I feel like I know roughly the answer, but are we trying to get those same sort of benchmarks for testnet? Because I feel like if someone's testing something on testnet, they want to work somewhat similar to mainnet, right?
Are you using similar hardware to like on testnet as to mainnet?
I am. I guess my question is, if we're cracking the whip on people to get their performance good on mainnet, are we also cracking the whip for testnet, or is the priority, hey, get mainnet working up? Then once you get that working as well as you want, then start working on testnet, or how?
To me, it's the latter. Yeah. Roger asked the same question a little while ago in the messages, and I just responded there as well. Let's get Telos or mainnet is what matters. Let's get mainnet set. Let's. I can see why people use less performant nodes for testnet. I personally don't have a problem with that. I think that it's a different thing. Others may feel differently. The one thing it does do, I will say, is since the performances are so different between the two, I think that when we are doing our final public benchmarks, we need to do them on mainnet, even if it's just like 3 minutes, 5 minutes of doing that to prove our capacity, because it's going to be much higher on mainnet than testnet due to the higher performing servers and infrastructure. And also, I think that people are wanting to see some kind of immutable proof, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, trust us, it's on our testnet." But I think we'd have that either way.
Is this in relation to like TPS testing?
Yes, that's what I'm referring to. When we do the TPS testing, I think because the mainnet is so much faster for many, we should do it there, or else we're going to underreport our actual figures. And then I know there's going to be pushback from people who think we shouldn't clog up the mainnet with a bunch of test proving transactions, and I certainly see their point. But I think that in the end, there's nothing can replace being able to prove something on mainnet.
You can't stop people from doing that anyway. So
yeah, but we're it's going to be required. I mean, it's going to be something that's going to be worked on by mainnet BPs primarily, right? When we do that,
for reporting purposes. Gotcha.
Not all of us, but a lot of us, and probably for that period, we may want to optimize a little bit and say, hey, if you're one of the slower things for these 10 minutes, why don't you unregister and we'll get in our most performant ones, so we can put our best foot forward for the 5 minutes, whatever, that we were actually record transactions. But I think we'd have that anyway. So. Okay, well, thanks everybody for listening. If anybody else has any questions or thoughts about this, I agree that's something we can tackle in the in the chats, and maybe we can just make this a area of focus for ourselves as BPs this month, and see how well we can do when we get to February's meeting and see what kind of progress we've made.
I think that sounds like a good plan. We got a lot of thumbs up. Oh, Brian. Brian just wanted to interrupt me. All right. Daniel, do you want to talk about the Antelope Node Operators Roundtable?
Yeah, happy to. Thanks for the opportunity. So I just threw this on. So the Antelope Node Operators Roundtable is a weekly meeting that has evolved. We've been running this weekly meeting leading up to the Leap upgrade for the EOS network specifically. But since the network has been successfully upgraded, it's sort of evolved into more of a general Antelope Node Operator Roundtable. So this is a call where we've got some of the core devs from both the EOS Network Foundation and OCI, who are responsible for developing the core Antelope code base, and a number of very active, highly technical block producers from various networks. So we've got already a number of Telos block producers like EOSphere, EOS USA, Greymass joining these calls quite regularly. It's a call that EOS Nation's hosting, and really just an opportunity to share feedback with the core devs on your experience as a node operator, and how that software might be improved to make your lives easier. So just putting it out there as an open invitation. If you guys are feeling any pain, have any questions about the roadmap for Antelope software, it's a pretty good opportunity. Again, every Wednesday, 1400 UTC is when we have them. I posted a link to, there's a GitHub issue where we've summarized all of the meetings and recordings of these calls. So if you want to catch yourself up on some of the topics we've been discussing recently, you can do that. Jump in our Telegram channel, and if you'd like an invite to, we've got a calendar invite. Happy to add anyone who wants to join to that invite. And I see Ryan raising his hand. Yeah, so absolutely. I just need email addresses for anyone who wants to be added to the invite. So feel free to shoot me. Maybe I can drop my Telegram handle here. That's my name. If you want to reach out and give me your email address in a DM, I can happy to add you the invite. And that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, there's a link to the GitHub and the note. I'll post that in the chat if anyone wants to.
Yeah, and from that GitHub, there's a link to the Telegram channel, and there's a link to every summary of every meeting we've held. Again, I separated it. The first chunk was all prepped for Leap upgrade, and then after that, we kind of rebranded, refocused the meeting on how we can improve Antelope software specifically for node operators. There's talk of an alternative version of this that's more focused for developers. So improving the Antelope developer experience, but we're keeping this one very focused for node operators.
Awesome. Does anyone have anything else they want to chat about, or should we cut this meeting short?
One thing, just wondering if anyone's running 3.2.1 for any extended period of time and notice any hiccups, bugs, anything like that. I've only just installed it on testnet. All of my other mainnet nodes are running 3.1.4 because that seems to be a pretty stable mainline version at the moment. So yeah, just wondering what people's experience with 3.2.1 might be like.
I'm running 3.2.1 and I'm having no issues, and my Hyperion didn't even notice. It went right over.
Yeah, same with me. 3.2.1 for 3 or 4 days, nothing is noticed.
Awesome.
And in fact, if I can say more, it did fix an issue between me and Graymass because we weren't actually peered together. So he was having a lot of network traffic because of that. So it actually fixed the issue that it had set out to fix.
Awesome.
The only
Yeah.
one thing I would point out one thing about 321 is it does change the console logs. So producer and receive block are now consistent in the way that they format the messages where they were different before. So if you have anything that's actually going through and culling that information and splitting it out, you may have some scripts that break. I did have some log ingestion issues that were easy to fix, but weren't expected.
Oh, cool. Thanks for the heads up.
No worries.
Yeah, go for it, Kylan.
Yeah, so this is a very specific question. So, I won't be surprised if you guys can't really give me any feedback on it. So when I've been developing applications, I've often had to work with Hyperion. I usually don't run my own Hyperion node. I will set that up at some point. But I've noticed specifically when I use the streaming version, the Hyperion streaming client, if I ever try to stream much of anything from the beginning of the blockchain, I've found that it really doesn't work well at all. I've found that typically it can move forward, but it only moves forward towards present time. It's something like, a second per second. So it's not really catching up. I'm wondering if anyone here has specifically used the streaming version of Hyperion and what kind of success or not you've had with that.
It's only real-time streaming. You can't stream the logs from Hyperion historically.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Okay. I guess back to getting chunks at a time, I guess.
If you need to stream the blocks in a serial way, couldn't you just ingest them directly from ship? Because that runs as a WebSocket.
From ship?
From a ship node, state history node.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, but then you have to build the whole parsing logic around it and use different
You have
SDKs to do that.
Okay.
EOS Nation this won't help you right now, but we're in process of getting Firehose and substreams running for Antelope chains. If you're familiar with that, that's the kind of the next generation of core tech that's powering the Graph network, built by the Streaming Fast team, previously EOS Canada, and it's basically focused on streaming. Firehose is stream everything. Substream is stream a subset of the data that you care about, so it allows you to keep much smaller. Yeah, and you don't have to store as much. So with Firehose, it's you got to store the whole chain. With the big chain, it takes up a lot of storage. With Substream, it's limit to the data you care about, and you can go pick a point in any time, stream forward or backward from that point, and then you can build indexes on top of that. We're already working now with the UX team to power the IBC solution using a substream we're building. So that's kind of our first real Antelope use case that we're experimenting with, and the team is actively working on kind of making it. So we've ported this over from the Ethereum version. It's working right now on Antelope, but it's not currently in a state really to have other people operate. Still a lot of documentation and bug testing and that sort of thing that we're working through, but something to look forward to.
Is there a specific branding name that you're using for that, or are you just calling it Firehose, or what brand name should I be on the lookout for?
So Pinax is a new organization we've stood up to focus specifically on this history service for the Graph ecosystem. So pinax.network, you can find our website there. Our GitHub repo is up there. And again, like I said, there's not a lot really. We haven't really been publicizing this much yet because there's a lot of work for us to do on the developer experience still. So as soon as we do have something digestible, we'll be sharing it across all the different Antelope chains.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
Will that potentially have EVM streaming capability as well?
So it's already, it was designed, it was originally built for EVM chains, Streaming Fast version. So yeah, Streaming Fast, they're the team that developed this technology and the development of the software. We're primarily focused on operating this software. However, they've not built this for Antelope. So we've kind of forked it and tweaked it to make it work for Antelope as well. And yeah, hopefully at some point there's going to be official graph support for the Antelope chains. But in the meantime, that technology is already actually built right into the core Antelope stack. They've got the feed, the mind reader that feeds the data into this thing was actually specifically built for Firehose substreams, and that's already fully integrated into Antelope. And then this is just like another add-on that you run and pull that data from Antelope.
If we want to learn more, be involved, maybe sign up to be a early service to run it for Telos, how can we engage with you guys?
I would say for now, stay tuned.
Okay.
And we'll be putting out some communications specifically around that. Yeah, we have a goal of ours is to get more operators running this stack. So that's what we're kind of working on, making that easier.
Put good
and in the meantime, yeah, share your feedback. And Matthew is really the primary man behind this and his team. So if you have any kind of specific technical questions about it, Matthew Darwin is kind of leading this from an operations perspective.
What's your horizon for it to become more public? Is that like 1 month, 3 months, 6 months? What are you thinking?
Hard to predict. I would say we're it's right now one of our top priorities. It could be somewhere in the 1 to 3 month range. Probably closer to 1 is my goal, but we'll see. I can't make any promises there.
Thank you. No, that's good to know. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, pleasure.
Sounds interesting, Daniel. Thanks very much.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Awesome. So we will all personally hold you to 1 to 2 months. And if it doesn't happen, too bad. Yeah, does anyone have anything they want to toss in, or should we end this at the hour?
Wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. It's lunchtime for me, so I'm gonna go grab some lunch. But let's wrap it up. All right. You're
gonna be on Around the Block later today with us, right?
I am, yeah. So I'm wearing not a t-shirt, and I showered and cleaned my background. I know it's
I'm gonna you've inspired me. Thanks guys. Good to see everybody.
And ladies. See you later.
Good day. See you all.
Bye bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.